Hello, hello, hello. This is 1189 where I'm commenting on 1189 chapters in 1189 days. Today we're going to be looking at Genesis chapter 12, okay, where Abram is spoken to, and he comes into the land of Haran and then to Canaan. Yeah, there we are. From Chaldees, of course. Now, let's get into it.
Chapter 12. Now the Lord had said unto Abram,
Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee. And in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed.
So Abram departed.
So it says, now God had said. So it's like a recounting of what God said. It's not a telling of what he said a few moments ago, but he said it a few, time a while ago, right? So yeah. And also with I'll curse them that curse thee. That changed in the New Testament to bless those that bless thee and bless those that curse thee as well. So yeah, we have that. Now in Acts chapter 7, Stephen gives the account kind of different way, kind of different. 7:2, Acts 7:2, and he said, Brethren and fathers, listen, the glory of God, the God of glory, appeared to our father Abraham when he was in Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia is the place in between the rivers. It's just like another term for Chaldees. Yeah, so Potames, something like that, means rivers. Meso means between. So it means between the rivers, between Euphrates and Tigris. So when he was in Mesopotamia, before he dwelt in Haran, and said to him, Get out of your country and from your relatives, and come to a land that I will show you. Get out of your country and from your relatives. But he kind of went with his relatives. Okay, like in Genesis 11, it speaks of their movement in terms of the fleshly outlook. Because it says, Terah took all his family, Abram and his wife and Lot, and went to Haran. But that's not so. Abram is the one who took them with him. It was Abram who was called, not Terah. Terah and Lot just got into the calling. So we can see that if you want to get your family saved, you believe yourself and they'll follow suit, usually, right? Then he came out of the land of the Chaldees and dwelt in Haran, and from there, when his father was dead, he moved him to this land in which you now dwell. Now, there's so it said before he dwelt in Haran, yeah. So God spoke to him in Ur of the Chaldees, but that's not mentioned in Genesis 12. It just says God spoke to him, and he was in Haran. I'll just go there real quick. Genesis 12, there we are. Right. So it just says that Abram, because when God renamed him, he breathed the Hey into him, the fifth letter of the Hebrew alphabet, which is found in Yud Hey Vav Hey. Right, so it says, Now the Lord had said unto Abram, Get thee out of the country, verse 2, and I will make of thee, yeah. And so Abram departed as the Lord had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. You see, out of Haran. So this is speaking of him leaving Haran. Act 7 is speaking of him leaving Ur of Chaldees. So it's two different accounts. So I'm like, where did Stephen get his information? Stephen. It's really a confusing thing right now. So, okay, so this is talking about when he was, okay, let's say Genesis 12, 1-3 is a whole different thing. Now it jumps over. and come to Haran now. So Genesis 12:1-3 is Ur of Chaldees. Genesis 12:4 is Haran. We just skipped a whole thing right there. So Stephen is speaking about verse 1-3. Verse 4 is when he is in Haran. Cool. Yes, because it said the Lord had spoken to him. That's cool then. Let's move on.
And as the Lord had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran.
Now, as I said in the last chapter, Lot means veil. A veil, it's a symbol of the law. Like our Christian get saved, but they don't fully understand the way they should walk. Like the Galatians, they got saved, and then they went back, or going back to the law. They started to depend on their works as a means of salvation, and Paul calls them, "Oh, you foolish Galatians, who has bewitched you?" That's Galatians should be 3:1. After beginning in the Spirit, are you now going to be complete in the flesh? Oh, and all that, and we can't be completed in the flesh. We have to be completed because we're turning back to the works of the law, like to circumcision over Jesus. That's what they were doing. So it was circumcision and Jesus. That's the whole thing right there. Works of the law and Jesus, which is not true. It's Jesus, then the works of the law. Jesus has sanctified us to live a holy life. That's it. So it's Jesus first and then the works of the law. It's not the works of the law and Jesus, and we can just mix them all together like the Jews. No. Like the Jews of that time in book of Acts, who Paul and Barnabas were always arguing with. Right then. So yeah, he had that veil on him, but the veil has to be removed, as it talks about in 2 Corinthians chapter 3. We all with unveiled faces behold as in a mirror the image of the Lord, and transformed from glory to glory as by the Spirit of the Lord. Cool.
And Abram took Sarai his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran, and they went forth to go into the land of Canaan. And into the land of Canaan they came. And Abram passed through the land unto the place of Sichem, unto the plain of Moreh, and the Canaanite was then in the land. And the Lord appeared unto Abram and said,
Unto thy seed will I give this land.
And there builded he an altar unto the Lord, who appeared unto him. And he removed from thence unto a mountain on the east of Bethel. And
now notice, he said not to Abram, but to Abram's seed he'll give his land. In one sense, that seed is Isaac. In one sense, that seed is Jesus. But Isaac never really inherited the land, did he? We just see him as a tent dweller, like Abram. So, most likely, according to history, and according to the Bible, God was talking about Jesus, his seed. Not to seed as many as Paul talks about in Galatians, but to seed being one. There's a singular seed. The Zerah, the word is Zerah, the Christ. I'll give this land. And that land has not yet been given to Jesus. Not yet. He's been put in the highest of highest. He's been sat at the right hand of God until all his enemies are put under his feet. And he's appearing now as the angel of the Lord to Joshua, to Joshua's army. All the people are fully mature. They're not looking back to Egypt. He's now appearing, so that we will take the land for him. Psalm 22 says, his seed he shall be prolonged by his seed. So we will do the works, even greater works, that Jesus was supposed to do, and gain back the land. For Daniel says he was cut short. He was cut short. Who has declared his generation? Somewhere it talks about the Psalms. Who has declared it? No one knows the gene that had been passed on. He was cut short. They had no children. Boom, he's gone. But he has a spiritual seed that's now arising. The baby that was produced by the Revelations 12 woman. That's the seed coming out. The woman is the church. To the woman in Babylon, Peter said in 2 Peter something. So the woman is the church, and the the seed being produced is the man-child who will rule the nations as with a rod of iron. That's the rod of iron that's talked about in the book of Daniel, again, where it comes in, the rock comes in and demolishes the statue of gold, the golden head, the silver arms, and breastplate, and the bronze, and then the what's it called? Was it the tin, the silver, and all those different? Then there was copper and copper and silver, but all those different copper and tin, all those different world governments were destroyed by the one who was given authority, the iron rod, something like that. So there we have it, people. There we have it. His seed will get the land. His seed. Right then. Moving on.
Pitched his tent, having Bethel on the west and Hai on the east, and there he builded an altar unto the Lord, and called upon the name of the Lord. And Abram journeyed, going on still toward the south. And there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down into Egypt to
Notice, with every other faith person in the Bible, after they believe in God, there's a famine. There's a famine in the land. When, let's say, who? Okay, like with Amos, there's a verse in Amos that talks about, in those days there shall not be famine for water or bread, but for the words of the Lord. The words of the Lord will be scarce. It's as though when we get saved, we're in like a euphoria. We can't fall short in anything. We're so hyped. What is this Jesus thing? I'm gonna evangelize every day. This is amazing. Why aren't these Christians living the right thing? And then boom, like it's a wilderness all of a sudden, and you have to get through that. You have to get through the wilderness with the word. He in Deuteronomy something, which Jesus quoted in Matthew 4. He says, man shall not live by bread alone. He puts us in the wilderness to understand that we shall not live by the teaching. Bread is kind of like the teachings of men, but then manna is the teachings of God. It comes from above. You cannot rely on the leaven of the Pharisees. Jesus said the leaven is bread. It is it's just bread. I was gonna say it's a little yeast leavens the whole lump. I was gonna say it's not even what they call unleavened bread, which is a pure bread, but it's leavened bread, which is leaven is a type of sin, so it like has impurities in it. But then the bread that is from above is the Christ, is what will feed you in the desert times, like Elijah and all the other guys. They did eat the food of angels in Psalm, I believe it's 78. Right, moving on.
sojourn there, for the famine was grievous in the land. And it came to pass, when he was come near to enter into Egypt, that he said unto Sarai his wife,
Behold now, I know that thou art a fair woman to look upon. Therefore it shall come to pass, when the Egyptians shall see thee, that they shall say, This is his wife, and they will kill me, but they will save thee alive. Say, I pray thee, Thou art my sister, that it may be well with me for thy sake, and my soul shall live because of thee.
And it came to pass that when Abram was come into Egypt, the Egyptians beheld the woman that she was very fair. The princes also of Pharaoh saw her, and commended her before Pharaoh, and the woman was taken into Pharaoh's house. And he entreated Abram well for her sake. And he had sheep and oxen, and he-asses, and men-servants, and maidservants, and she-asses, and camels. And the Lord plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarai Abram's wife. And Pharaoh called Abram and said,
What is this that thou hast done unto me? Why didst thou not tell me that she was thy wife? Why saidst thou, She is my sister? So I might have taken her to me to wife. Now, therefore, behold thy wife, take her, and go thy way.
And Pharaoh commanded his men concerning him, and they sent him away, and his wife, and all that he had.
It's actually a crazy story, because this Pharaoh is actually in the right. He didn't do anything wrong. Abraham is the one who kind of, it wasn't a total lie, it was like a half lie. It was like Sarai was kind of his cousin, sister. So yeah, I could say it was his sister. But this guy wasn't in the wrong. Like, I mean, yo, like, I was just talking to his sister. Like, it's his sister. I was gonna marry her maybe. I don't know. But then he gets the lower end of the straw. Like, he gets a bad straw. Now, the Bible says, let not the wise rejoice in their wisdom, let not the rich rejoice in their riches, let not the powerful rejoice in their power. It says something like that. But let him that knows the Lord boast that they know the Lord. It's just about knowing God. It's not about anything else. God will defend you against people that are not even having a bad intent towards you. It's crazy. It's crazy, really. You should get to know Jesus, get to know him.
Chapter 13.
All right, there we are, people. We're done for today. I will see you tomorrow.